USA, I expected to win, but after we
There.
attacked Venezuela and we took Maduro, Venezuela wanted all the smoke. They wanted all the payback. They were not going to lose twice to America. The FU Trump was everywhere. It was crazy.
Yeah, we yelling at the screen every Sunday night. Talk slick through the remote, we just want it right. Front office tripping, man, they can't get it right. Whole city heated, but we still gon' fight. We talking bulls trade, biz drafts, missed calls, club slump, soft rebuild. We seen it all. Yeah, we loud, yeah, we gritty. I'm a little frustrated, but I still love my city. Yeah, north side, south side, west, we united.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to everyone's favorite name-changing podcast. Today, we're going to call ourselves White Sox and BS. And you know what? I kind of like the name. I think it can stick. I really do. I am your host, Harold, with our co-host, JJ3 here, and producer Pay. He's somewhere in the back room. We locked him up in the back, and we said, hey, stay in there, stay on the keyboard, and work for free.
You got to keep the opposition off the screen for now.
Gots to. Stupid Cubs fans. They're so stupid. Anyway, back to the show. So we've got a quick, great episode for you. We've got two subjects that we're going to talk about today because it's still before the season starts. We're going to talk about the WBC and the White Sox opening day roster. We're going to have a quick rundown. We'll let you know we're going to let you know how we feel about each subject. But to start with the WBC Baseball Classic, it came down to Venezuela versus USA. USA, I expected to win, but after we attacked Venezuela and we took Maduro, Venezuela wanted all the smoke. They wanted all the payback. They were not going to lose twice to America. The FU Trump was everywhere. It was crazy. It looked like a MLB All-Star game. There were so many stars on Venezuela that played in the MLB. I was like, what's going on? Look at all these guys. This team is deep. They had William Contreras, Salvador Perez from the Royals, who I've always picked in fantasy. They had Wilson Contreras, Luis Arraez, if you pronounce his name, Arraez from the San Diego Padres. They had Eugenio Suarez, who's now on the Reds, was on the Diamondbacks. Gleyber Torres from, I think, Detroit. Miguel Garcia from the Royals. Ezequiel Tovar. Andre Jimenez. Will Abreu. Ronald Acuna Jr. I don't even think he started. Jackson Churio. It's just a long list of top MLB guys they had versus
a lot of major leaguers over there for sure.
Yeah, but we had the guns. We had the bigger army. We
thought.
We had the helicopters. We had the tanks. We had the SWAT team. We're going to come in there. And if someone on Venezuela had the last name Maduro, he was going to get hit with the ball. That's how dominant we thought we were going to have a repeat. But it didn't happen that way. From my perspective, sure, we did lose, but there's one tiny sliver of win that we got in that matchup.
What's that?
See some prime Venezuelan talent. And I'm not talking about on field. I'm talking about off field. Man, there was this one Venezuelan girl. Let me tell you, she was thicker than train smoke. Oh my God. It was like a Coke bottle and then like bam. And then right back, bam. Oh my God, what is this? Who is that? I was distracted from the game.
I watched the game. I must have missed that part. I must have turned my head or something when she was on screen. I don't know how that
watched the game. So I can tell you what happened off the game. You got to tell me what happened during the game. Take it over, JJ3.
Like you said, we thought and we assumed that Team USA was going to win the World Baseball Classic. They got to the finals. They had their bumps in the road, and they got right there to the championship round against Venezuela, and they were the favorites. And Venezuela came right on out there and punched them in the mouth. And it showed a consistent trend over the course of the tournament after probably the first game or so that the United States couldn't score. Just couldn't score enough runs on command when they needed to. And Venezuela went out there and, like I said, punched them right in the mouth. They only had 3 hits in the entire game. Through the first 4.5 innings, 5 innings or so, they couldn't get a runner past first base. So Venezuela was dominant. And like you already mentioned, I mean, look, payback for Maduro, I guess. You know what I'm saying? They weren't messing around. They came in to Miami to face Team USA in the finals, and they were on a mission. And the mission was pay back with a vengeance.
I was told by a very credible source, USA lost because we had too many Cubs players on the team.
You know what? I believe it.
Matthew Boyd, Alex Bregman, Pete Crow, Armstrong, whatever his name is. Too many Cubs players. You're never going to win anything when there's too many Cubs players on the team.
Facts.
So that's my take from that. They had a lot of gold at manager. They had Matt Holliday, they had Andy Pettit, they had Brian McCann. They had a lot of very familiar names. David Ross, haven't heard his name in forever. They had so many just talented names as far as managing. How I don't understand how we managed so bad. And then Mark DeRosa, he's never been an MLB league manager, right?
And he never will after this
How does
performance.
that happen where someone can be
First, he didn't
manager?
really understand the rules of the tournament. He didn't understand when they were moving on and when they weren't moving on. And like you said, he managed a poor tournament. So, but Pay asked me last week in terms of blame and the tier of blame and how I would rank how Team USA was performing up to that point. I put Mark DeRosa at the top, and I gave the
Yeah.
majority of the blame to him at that
Oh,
time.
for blame. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, at that time. For the loss that we just saw, I'm not going to put the majority of the blame on him as the manager. I'm going to put it on the players. Players got to step up and perform. You in the finals, you shouldn't need a whole bunch of motivation. If it's important to you to go out and perform, go out and perform. And you did. You got shut out through the first 4.5 innings. You got shut out through the first, 6 or 7 innings. I mean, they couldn't hit. They couldn't do anything offensively.
You don't think that has to do with because from the little bit I saw as far as the lineup in games, I did not like how the order was I saw on Team USA. There's no way Judge shouldn't
How would
have
you
support the front or behind him.
reorder the lineup? Because in certain respects, lineup construction can be overrated, in my opinion.
Why is that?
Because it's not always about who's batting first, second, third, or however, or cleanup or whatnot. Oftentimes, it's about what's the matchup with the pitcher that you're facing and who's hot and who's not. Baseball is a very streaky sport. So it's oftentimes, it doesn't come down to, oh, I've got to make sure I got my cleanup man. I got to make sure I got my leadoff guy. A lot of times, that's antiquated thinking. Who's hot?
I mean,
Who
I
has
don't
the best
disagree to a
bats
point.
in a specific scenario?
I mean, I like Bobby Witt Jr. at the start. I would have hit Schwarber at third, then put Bregman, then had Aaron Judge after Bregman. Yeah, I really didn't like the order. Pete Crow Armstrong came off the bench. I was like, that's weird. I would have had Pete Crow
Why is that
Armstrong
weird?
over Will Smith as far as for hit. I would have had him in over Will Smith, at least higher than Will Smith in the order. I just don't think your gunners were where they should have been. I think you need more gunners up top. I would have probably put. It's gonna sound crazy. Put Bobby Witt Jr. down last at ninth. I think he would have been great at ninth. Because ninth guy usually gets walked, and then have Harper start at first. Then I could see Schwarber, then Judge, then Bregman, have your heavy hitters in that 2 through 5. And it's just I just didn't like the of course, like you said, we should have won still regardless. I just didn't like how it was set up, especially with Harper kind of being our only hot hitter per se for the series, or consistent hitter for the entire baseball classic series. He really should have started at the 1 in the lineup and just kept giving us a hot start. But it is what it is. They played better. They had better defense. I thought we had
Exactly.
better pitching. We did not have the better pitching, but
The pitching wasn't terrible. I
it
mean, you
wasn't.
could have had better pitching, but it wasn't terrible. And once again, you lost 3-2.
Facts.
It's not like they put up, 13 runs on you. So your pitching held up for the most part. You gave up solo home runs that really ended up making the difference, right? Venezuela scored on a sac fly in the first inning. Excuse me. I think his name Wilher Abreu, probably butchering the guy's name or whatever. But he plays for the Red Sox. I mean, he was terrific. He hit the home run to put him up 2-0. I mean, before Bryce Harper tied it later in the game with his 2-run home run and backflip that was ridiculous. I mean, it was like he tried to throw that thing out the stadium with how high he threw that bat in the air. But
Didn't he?
I mean, you had enough pitching in my estimation. You just didn't have any hitting, especially when you needed it from guys that are supposed to be clutch. Schwarber is supposed to be a clutch hitter.
He's supposed to be.
We didn't see it. And he's shown himself to be a clutch hitter in the playoffs, in the World Series, in the regular season. In various clutch moments, Kyle Schwarber has shown himself to be a player who performs in those scenarios. We didn't see it. Aaron Judge has shown himself to be a player at times, especially in the playoffs, who is not typically clutch. So you can point the fingers at him too. High-priced player, high-priced bat, huge star in the sport of baseball, Major League Baseball, and he didn't perform whatsoever. He's not the only one. You already mentioned a bunch of guys, right? You mentioned the player who plays for the North Side. He didn't do much. You mentioned Bobby Witt Jr. None of these guys got any runs across the board. So it can't all fall at the foot of the manager, and it can't all fall at the foot of your pitching staff. A lot of those position players that are high-priced guys that make a whole lot of money to score runs, hit home runs, and drive guys home did do their jobs.
I agree. I want, oh, shoot, thicker than train smoke. Thicker than cold grits. Oh my God. I'm sorry, I'm back. Yes.
Lock in. Focus.
Locks. Locks. All right. That was a good take, JJ3. All right, on to the next subject with opening day next week. 25th, I believe, is the league opening day, but Sox open March 26th against the Brewers at home or away?
Away.
Away. So we open in Milwaukee. I'll just discuss the starting lineup real quick. Kyle Teal was supposed to be starting catcher, but he got injured. So Edgar Cuero would probably start, even though Corey Lee was on the team last year, and I guess he's still third in the depth chart at catcher. Not a good sign, but we'll see what happens. Maybe he'll get a surprise start.
He's had a good spring, though.
He did. At first base, we got our new Japanese guy, Munetaka Murakami. He's starting over Miguel Vargas, who started last year at first base. So I can't wait to see what he does. Hopefully we get another Colson Montgomery in there. Second base, Chase Meadroth. I know he's on the team last year. I always butcher his last name. Surprisingly, Luis Angel Acuna, the new guy that we got, he's second on the roster, backing him up. Shortstop, the GOAT, Colson Montgomery. Let's see if we can continue his hot start, his hot finish from last season. He is unarguably the star of the team. Third base, Vargas is starting at third base with Curtis Mead backing him up in the depth chart. And then for our outfielders starting, we've got Andrew Benintendi, newly acquired Austin Hayes from the Reds, and Luis Angel Acuna will be starting at outfield. I'm assuming he's taking over for Luis Robert at center field. Can't wait to see what he does. DH is going to be Sosa. I don't know how long that'll last, but for now, he is the DH. As far as our rotation, nothing crazy. Similar to last year, only we have a surprise addition back. Shane Smith, Sean Burke, Anthony Kay, our only left-hander, Davis Martin, and the return of Eric Fetty from the St. Louis Cardinals, which I thought he was pretty decent. He got in the Cardinals and he got fourth, third in the rotation. He's still the same off-ball pitcher, great value. Tommy Maddox, not really a heavy K guy, but he throws these crazy off-ball pitches that make pitchers hit awkward balls for easy fly balls. Relief pitchers, nobody to note of name. A lot of familiar names from last year: Jordan Hicks, Jordan LaJure, Sean Newcomb. We've got Ryan Baraki. He's left-hander. Chris Murphy's a left-hander. I can't wait to see what this team can do. I don't really have too much faith in a lot of these guys, but they're a young team. Let's see what our manager has got ready for him in Venable. What do you think of that opening day roster or opening day depth chart? Sorry.
No, I mean, there's a lot to be proven with that lineup, obviously.
Right.
We got to see it play out on the baseball field. Colson Montgomery, again, who I pointed out previously on prior shows, who I pointed out back when he was still in the farm system. There's young talent there. He's a tall shortstop. He showed last year that he had some pop in his bat and was hitting some home runs, and he had a pretty damn good WAR for a player who was only up here for a brief period of time.
Facts.
You're looking to see more of that from him, more consistency from him. Can he continue to hit home runs at the rate that he was hitting them? I mean, does he have, 25 plus home run potential in his bat? Is a big question that I want to see. From what we saw last year, it looks like he does have that potential. Does that come with a good on-base percentage and a high average? That remains to be seen. That's one of the questions that has to be answered with him. Kyle Teal, again, he's another promising young star for this team. I've talked about him before, nauseum. Currently, he's out. He'll be out. The projection was 4 to 6 weeks, give or take. Hopefully, it's on the light side, and he's back in the 4-week time frame, and he doesn't have to miss too much. But again, as you pointed out, we got backups. We got Edgar Cuero. He had a good spring, and we have other catchers behind him. Corey Lee, who also, as you mentioned before, has had a solid spring. I mean, he's probably had the best spring of all the catchers on the team, quite frankly.
I thought he should have been starting last year, but that's just me.
I mean, he's going to get his time to shine and get some moments this year regardless. But the guy who we got back from the Mets in place of Luis Angel Acuna, I want to see what he does. I want to see how good he actually can be. He didn't really get any real time to shine or produce when he was with the Mets, so it'll be nice to see him get some run here with the White Sox and see if he can actually produce at a high level for us consistently and perform. You know, he seems to be a fast player. He seems to be a guy who has some range out there in center field. Can you hit consistently? I'm going to be asking this question of everybody on this team. Can you hit consistently? Can you put the ball in play and get on base consistently? That's what we need. This team in spring training, I mentioned it last week on the show. I talked about the numbers offensively. Offensively, the White Sox in the spring have been putting runs on the board.
They have.
They've only had, at this point, last week it was 4 games where they scored 4 runs or less. I think now it's 6 games where they've scored 4 runs or fewer.
All the stars are at the WBC. Just saying, but it's just putting it out there.
Hey, I feel you. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. That's a factual statement. So, and that's why, once again, can you carry that over to when the regular season starts next week? You know, baseball is a marathon season. So you got 160 of these games to play. There's going to be a lot of peaks and valleys for all of these players that we're talking about. Shane Smith, one of the pitchers that you mentioned, they're going to be looking at him to be a consistent starter and produce.
Former All-Star Shane Smith, by the way.
Hey. There you go. To me, the bigger question marks for this roster are on the pitching side of things. Also, what I mentioned last week. Watch the show, people. Tune in. Lock in with us. We got you. Everything when it comes to White Sox baseball. Ignore that other team over there on the other side of town. There's nothing good over there.
They like dick bumping, but you ain't heard that from me.
Hey yo. But yeah, no, for real. Like there's a lot to look forward to with this team from a young talent perspective. Can they take that next step? Not step to Major League All-Star, not step to superstar. Can you take the next step of being a guy who was in the minors, coming into the big leagues, who performs every single day? There's a lot to be said, being able to come in and do this job every single solitary day and perform on command. You have to be able to do that in the majors. That's what it's all about.
I like it. I like the way you ended that. I was going to insert That's What She Said somewhere in there, but you were cooking, so I just let you cook.
Appreciate you, bro.
I just let you cook. God dang, she is thicker than zoo glass. Oh,
all right, you keep talking about whoever this is. You're gonna have to drop the ad. What's the IG for the people?
These Venezuelan chicks are crazy. Shout outs to you, Venezuela, getting payback on us for bombing.
Big shout outs to Venezuela.
Straight up, that was crazy. I didn't think y'all had a chance, but look at y'all. No, anyway, thank you all for watching another episode of, I think we're going to keep this permanent name, White Sox and some BS. Is it and some BS or White Sox and BS? I like White Sox and BS.
It works. Whichever one you want to roll with. Whichever one you want to roll with.
Yeah, White Sox and BS. Well, thank you all for watching White Sox and BS. I'm Harold, your favorite host, and your favorite co-host, JJ3, and we will see you later.
Appreciate you tapping into this latest episode from the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel. Don't matter if you was watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with everybody on the block, and hit the notification bell so you never miss none of our daily drops. And to all the guys from the Shy, we say 3 things. Bear down, fly the W, and sell the team, Jerry.